Betrayal of Trust, a J.P. Beaumont novel written by J.A. Jans. The novel starts off when private investigator J.P. Beaumont is called in by Seattle's highest law enforcement office and is given the case of the governor's grandson, who appears to be involved in the murder of a young teenager. When Governor Longmire's grandson, Josh Deason, receives a video clip of the strangulation of a young girl on his cell phone, she's quick to find it and calls the Seattle authorities. Josh claims that he has no idea who the girl is and that he wasn't even there when the incident happened. He also claims to have no idea how the video even got onto his phone. Now Josh, being only 15, goes through things that the average teenager wouldn't experience. Both his parents died in a car accident, and he's ridiculed and bullied and not accepted by his peers, and that makes it harder on Josh, considering that he lives with his grandfather and his grandfather's wife, the governor. He feels sort of neglected by them because they don't pay as much attention as they do to their 3 kids. And the accusation of being involved in a murder like this, or even being considered a murderer, is a lot for Josh to handle emotionally, and it sort of pushes him off the edge, and he finds the only logical solution that he can find to get out of the situation. So he commits suicide, and that not only affects the whole novel, but it affects all the characters as a whole, because it does affect his grandfather and his step-grandmother, the governor, who, even though they aren't related by blood, still wants Josh to be a part of her family. Beaumont is also extremely troubled by his death, because when Beaumont was younger, he was sort of a similar image as Josh, and even though he doesn't believe that Josh's death was done out of guilt, he does think that there is some connection between Josh and the video. Throughout the novel, that's what J.P. Beaumont is set out to do. He set out to find the 3 culprits who he thinks are involved or know something of the video. He thinks that there are 3 people because there has to be 1 photographer, and in the video 2 people were seen strangling the girl, but their faces weren't identified. Betrayal of Trust was more of a cesspool of murder mystery and politics and parenting and teenage angst, and the characters were realistic and they were somewhat relatable, especially the teen who never really fit in or who was bullied and who was just different, and all the characters sort of add into the drama that the storyline has, and it leaves surprises throughout the book. My rating for the book would be 4 out of 5 stars. In the beginning it was a bit boring, and it didn't really have much of anything. It didn't really interest you. It was just more of empty space. But I would recommend it to those people who like mystery and suspense novels, and especially because it's the 20th book in the series written about J.P. Beaumont. So for the 20th book, it still has some freshness and some creativity to the book, and it isn't just a boring book that dies out in the end. Some books that I would relate it to would maybe be The Hunger Games, and not relating in context, but relating of how the storyline goes, because the beginning of The Hunger Games isn't really that interesting until you get to the reaping, and A Betrayal of Trust isn't really interesting until you get to the actual murder case. So I would definitely recommend it to those of you who like mystery and suspense novels, and I think that it's a well-written piece of work that had me wanting to read for hours.
Created using Powtoon.